Going to go over my solution to problem 10-11, which is a cash budgeting problem. I've laid out some of the facts given in the problem, and you can see that I've put them right here: sales, cost of goods sold, etc., etc. And then the next thing I've done also is put out the assumptions. I read through the problem, figured out what the important assumptions were, and I just laid them out. Wherever there was a piece of numerical information, I put that into its own separate cell so that I could refer to it later. The next thing that I did is I took the budget that was given in the problem and I kind of rearranged it a little bit. So, for example, I've separated the purchases from the income statement information. And one reason for that is I wanted to calculate the net income before taxes. And the reason for that, of course, is because that way I can figure out what the taxes are, because those have to be paid in cash. And then calculated net income, even though that was not really required. Then the next thing I did was lay out the cash collections separately from the cash payments. And you can see I have all of those put in a nice format. I've also tried to label everything as clearly as possible. One reason to do that is that this kind of document is something you work on, then put it away for a long time, and then perhaps come back to it, at which point you're not going to remember what you did the first time. So you want to make sure you keep things as clear as possible. Once I have the total cash collected and the total cash used, then we can calculate the net cash. Now, the other part of this, as you'll notice, let me just scroll over here, is I put in the formulas. So, for example, this cell refers to the formula over here, and this cell refers to the formula over there. And as a result, you can see all of the formulas that I put in. All right, let me go through a few of the points here. Sales, cost of sales, S&A. Now notice I calculated net income before taxes, so sales minus cost of sales minus S&A, and that gets net income before taxes. Then on the income taxes, let me move the spreadsheet a little bit so you can see everything. Now notice that I have the net income before tax times the tax rate, and I put this in over here with a reference, and notice the use of the dollar signs there that essentially makes sure that this cell gets referenced. So that way when I do a copy and paste for over here, notice once again that the reference is to where the tax rate is. Now, one nice reason to do that is that you can change everything by changing just one cell. So for example, if I want to make the tax rate 37%, I do that, and you'll notice that all of the rest of the cells will recalculate because there's only one place for the tax rate. And so if the tax rate changes, I don't have to change individual cells. Let's set it back to 35%. Now we can get into the cash collections. Cash collections are 50% of the prior quarter sales. So once again, I've used the absolute references, and notice that it lags by 1 quarter. Cash collected from current sales. Once again, 50% times the current sales. And then the total cash, just a matter of adding them up. This is nice because once you have the formula set out like this, it just copy and paste and you're good to go. Cash used for taxes is just from the current period right there. Cash used from current purchases, once again, 70%, notice the absolute reference, times the current purchases. Cash used for prior quarter purchases, right, 30% times the prior quarter, so that's lagged. Cash used for S&A. Now notice what happened here is that the problem said that there was $7,000 of depreciation. So this calculation then is taking the S&A minus the depreciation to get the cash portion, and that's paid in the current period. Cash used for capital expenditure, once again, laid that out here, but that only occurs in the fourth quarter, so you can see it over there. All right, once I have the spreadsheet built, if we want to change some of the assumptions, they're easy to do. You just change the assumptions over here. If you need to change the data, then you would add that in directly. If you want to see how the spreadsheet was built with all the formulas, I've laid them out over there.